right, shalom, y'all. We're gonna get started in just a second. All right, shalom, Israel. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barak Thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shem Allah Thumb Shem Yahshua to the sisters. I'm Priest Officer Parag holding down the closing to the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right, this is a closing to the 7-day Feast of Unleavened Bread. For those of y'all that was able to make it out last week to the Passover. Y'all know Saturday night was the Passover, right? And then Sunday night we held the first day of the opening to the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It's pretty much going to be the same thing, of course, this being a high holy day, the Feast of Unleavened Bread being a 7-day feast. Us closing it out, we pretty much going to go over the same precepts that we saw the generals go over last week. And of course, we're going to run down through Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, all the way through, go over all of the feasts, just like every other feast day. But with that being said, this being a high holy day, we're going to go ahead and open up with the prayers, all right? All right, so I imagine, should we stand? Face the east, Panyago Dome, which means to turn and face the east that way. I'm going to open up with the prayers. Beginning with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawu, Shabbat Shemayim, Wadash, Haya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malagwatka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Nathanawa, Lacham, Kal Yawam, Wasalakanawa, Kal Wathnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kal Wathinawa, Wala'a, Tabayanawa, Banasai 1, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Mayan, Raikaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa'ala, Watha Parad, Lawalamyum, Aman. The Lord's Prayer in English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. We're going to read the prayers for the power of the Chak in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Baba Kushai, Nathan Nawa Hakak, Hakala Rapa'ah, Kal Maka'ala, Wakal Madawa, Hakat Latahar, Hamatazarayim, Hakat, Halakwayam, Hamathium, Hakat, Al Rakawa, Hatama Allah, Lagar Shun, Ba'ashem Yahushai, the Wadaman. The prayers for the power in English. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. These are the prayers to bless Israel in Hebrew. Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Barak Lanawa, Wa Yasharala, Wahabayat Saparyam, Barak, Bahasham Yahushai, the Wadaman. What we just said in English. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless us and Israel and the school. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. Psalms, the 121st chapter in Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Ahaharya, Mayan, Yaba'a, Isaiah, Ma'aim, Yahweh, Aisha, Shamayam, Wa'rataza, Al Yathan, Lamawat, Ragalka, Al Yanawam, Shamarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Shalmar, Yasha'ala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al Yad, Yam Yanka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Wayarach, Walayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makal Rai, Yashamar, Athnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza'athka, Wabawa'aka, Ma'aitha, Wa'ai, Awalam. Psalms the 121st chapter in English. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yashala shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. We're going to read Psalms, the 83rd chapter in Hebrew. Allahayim, al damayalaka, al thacharash, wa al tashakwat, al kayahana, awayabyaka, Yahamayawan, Ra'ash, al imaka, Ya'arayamwa, Sawada, Wayatha, Ya'aitazawa, al tazapawanyaka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakyadam, Magoya, Wala'a, Yazakar, Sham Yasha'ala, Iwada, Kaya, Nawa'aitazawa, Laba, Yahadwa, Auyaka, Baryath, Yakarathwa, Ahoya, Adawam, Wayashamai Alayam, Mawa'aba, Wahagaryam, Gabal, Wa'aimawan, Wa'aimalak, Palashad, Aim Yashabya, Tazawar, Gam Ashawar, Nalawa, Aimam, Hayawa, Zarwai, Labanya Lawat, Salah, Aishalaham, Kamadian, Kasaya, Sara'a, Kayabian, Banakal, Kwayashwan, Nashamagwa, Ba'ayan, Da'ara, Hayawa, Daman, La'adama, Shayathamwa, Nada, Yabmawa, Ka'ira, Wakaza'aba, Wakazabak, Wakatazal, Mana'ai, Kal, Nasayakamwa, Ashar, Amarwa, Nayarasha, Lanawa, Ath, Na'awath, Alahaya, Alahaya, Shayathamwa, Kagalgala, Kakwash, Lapanya Raka, Ka'ash, Thaba'ira, Ya'ira, Wakalahabab, Talahat, Harayam, Khan, Tharadapma, Basa Iraka, Wabasa, Wapathka, Thabahalam, Mala'a, Panyaham, Kwalawan, Wayabakwashwa, Shamka, Yahawah, Yabashwa, Wayabahawa, Adya'ai, Wayahaparwa, Wayabadwa, Wayadaiwa, Kayatha, Shamka, Yahawah, Labadka, Al Yawan, Al Kal, Al Ratazah. We're going to read Psalms, the 83rd chapter in the English. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yashala may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gebal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites. As to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kasan. which perished that endure. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like a red, and like Zeheb. Yea, all their princes as Zabah, and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. Oh my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may see thy name. O Yahweh, let them be confounded in trouble forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high of all the earth. We're going to read the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Shai, Wa Ma'aka Allah, Wa Allah Hayim, Matazav Ya'ah, Alawat Yahana, Ha'alawapium, Ha'saranyum, Hakwatazayanyum, Hakayayayum, Wa Ha'gwathium, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, the Wadaman. In the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yahana, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. Sorry, while you're shopping, you can turn and be seated. Y'all can go ahead and eat if y'all would like. Brothers and sisters can start eating if y'all would like. I'm going to be reading Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. 7 verses at a time. We're going to read 7 verses in Hebrew, read those same 7 verses in English, and so on, all the way down to the 44th verse. All right. So I'm going to begin. And of course, after that, after I read the chapter, we'll go over another breakdown of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, kind of give you the spirit behind it. Of course, like I said, if y'all was tuned in last week, the generals did a good job of breaking it down, but we'll go over it again just as we closing out. All right. Leviticus 23, we're going to begin at verse 1 in the Hebrew. Waya Dabar Yahweh Amashala Amar. Verse 2, Dabar Abanya Yasha Alawa Martha Alaham Mawa Aja Yahweh Ashar. The Korawa Thumb, verse 3. Shashad Yamayam. The Aishwa. The Aisha. Malaka Labayam. Hashab Ya'aya Shabbat 1. Makora'ah Kwadash Kal Malaka La'at the Aishwa. Shabbat Hawa Alam. Yahweh Bakal Mawashah Bath Yakam. Mawashabath Yakam, verse 4. Alam Mawa'aya Yahweh Makora'ah. Makora'ah Atham Bawa Ma'aya. Verse 5. Bakadash. Ara Ashwan Ba'ara Ba'aiha. Aishara Lakadash Bayan Ha'ira Bayam Pasak La Yahweh, verse 6. Obakamasha Aishara Yawam Lakadash Hazaha Kaga Hamatazawath La Yahweh Shabbat Aitha Yamayam Matazawath Akawa, verse 7. Bayawam Hara Ashwan Makora'ah Kwadash Yahweh Lachem Kal Malaka Ibadah La'at Aishwa. So that was up to verse 7. We'll read those same 7 verses in the English. If a brother could grab those for me, Baba Kashar. I need the Bible up here too. Once again, Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, beginning at verse 1. Leviticus 23 and verse 1.
7 verses, right?
Kind of.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation, even these are my feasts.
So now we in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, right? How the Most High gave the laws to the children of Israel. Yesterday when we talked about the purpose of the law, these is one of the things that I brought up, right? Because of course, as we understand, in America, everybody is celebrating Easter today. All right, which is of course their pagan version where they're worshiping the fertility goddess Ishtar, pretending that it's about Christ when it's not. The Passover is about the resurrection and things like that. And of course, Christianity has tried to modify it and take something that's pagan and try to make it about Christ. And that, of course, is not something that the Lord has ordained. So here we are in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and here we see the laws that the Most High has delivered to the children of Israel for the days that they should keep. So instead of Christmas, these are the laws these are the holidays or holy days that you keep. Instead of Easter, instead of the New Year, instead of those days, you keep the days that we're about to read about here. All right. And this is when they're being delivered to the children of Israel. Keep reading.
Verse 3. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
Now, if y'all notice, the first holy day that we see that's being referenced here, this is the Sabbath day, which this is not annual, this is weekly. Every week, from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, it's the day of rest. All right. We talked about this yesterday as well. This ain't something spooky. The Jewish man tries to make it to where you can't touch an elevator button. You can't turn the lights on in your house. You can't go to the gym and work out. That's not what the Sabbath day is about. The Sabbath day is about having a day off from your slavery, from you not having to go into the job and work and slave away for the white man. All right. You having that day off has nothing to do with you not being able to eat a warm meal on the Sabbath. A lot of people try to oppress you with the Sabbath day. That's not what the Sabbath day is about. The Sabbath day is made for man, for you to rest from your work, right? Just like the Lord did. The Lord rested on the seventh day. He gave that same thing to us. All right. It's that simple. You can keep going.
Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocation, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
Mm-hmm.
In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
All right. So now, once again, we see that this is important that you hold these days in their season. So that means that you can't just celebrate these days whenever you choose. Right. We see if you go look at these different groups, a lot of times you'll see that they got their Passover. Some people celebrated their Passover last month. Some people still haven't celebrated their Passover. Well, it's important according to the Lord that you celebrate the Passover at its appointed time. All right. There's only one correct way and one correct day to celebrate that Passover. And that is on the 14th day of the first month. All right. The first month of the year is not talking about January. That's the first month of the Gregorian calendar. The first month of the year is the first month of spring, when everything is new. That usually happens around March and April, which, of course, this year is around April. April, I think, what was it? Or actually, March 28th, I think, was the new year, according to our calendar. All right, the Hebrew calendar. All right, continue.
Verse 6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread.
Mm-hmm.
In the first day ye shall have an holy convocation, which it's like ye shall do no servile work therein.
So we saw at the 14th day of the first month, at even is the Lord's Passover, right? That's what we had last Saturday. Last Saturday night we had the Lord's Passover. Then it goes on to say on the 15th day at even, it's your feast of unleavened bread. That's the first day of the feast of unleavened bread. It goes on to say that it's for 7 days you have to eat unleavened bread. All right. So for those of y'all that's been keeping the feast with us, we've been able to eat unleavened bread every single day of the week. Tonight is the closing to that feast of unleavened bread. Now, of course, we can go back to eating bread that has leaven in it, right? Continue on.
Verse 8. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. In the 7th day is an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
Right. So now, of course, these being high holy days, scriptures tell you that you have to make an offering by fire. All right. An offering by fire is talking about this food that we dedicate during these feast days that we consume. All right. A lot of people don't understand what that offering made by fire is. A lot of people think that they was just throwing food into the damn furnace and letting it burn up. But that's not what this is talking about. This is talking about having a feast. Remember, these are called holy convocations. The term convocation means gathering. So this is when you and your brothers and sisters get together, you gather together, just like the people in the world do on Easter. They try to make an excuse that Easter and Christmas and all these other days are the only days that they can get together. But of course, us in the UPK, we get together on the days that the Lord has ordained. But don't let the white man tell us that we got to get together on Christmas break or for that Easter Sunday. You understand? That's for them, right? The scriptures tell us that the heathen have their own gods that they serve. That's why they can serve Easter. They can serve Christmas, right? But according to the scriptures, the Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans must come together on these days. And that's why we are here tonight, all across the country, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that are in the truth, that are in this school, we coming together and we serving these days, all right? So that's why they're called holy convocations. They're separate from a gathering that you might have with your family or that your family might be having with each other, all right? Let's continue on. Was that it? That was it up to 7, right?
That's 8.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna read verses 8 down through 15, excuse me, 8 through 14 in the Hebrew, and then we'll read it in English and break it down. All right. Verse 8, Wa Korah Batham Asha La Yahweh Shaba'itha Yamayam Bayawam Hashab Ya'aya Makorah Kodash Kalma La'ath Kathabada La'ath Aishua, verse 9. Wayadabar Yahweh Amasha La Amar, verse 10. Dabar Albanya Yasha Allah wa Amartha Allaham Kaya Thabawa Allah Ha'arataza Ashar Aniyah Nathan Lakam Wataza Ratham Ath Amar Ra'ashayav Kwataza Yarakam Al Hakahan, verse 11. Wahana Yab Ath Ha'imar Lapanya Ahwa Laratazanakam Mamakarath Hashabath Yana Yanapa Hakahan, verse 12. Wa Aisha Yatham Bayawam Hanayapakam Atha Ha'imar Kabash Tamayam Ban Shanathan La Yahweh, verse 13. Wamanachatwa Shanaya Aisharanyam Salath Balawa Bashaman Asha La Yahweh Rayak Nayachak Wanasaka Yayan Rabba Ya'itha, verse 14. Walakam Wakala Ya Wakaramal La'al Talakwa Aid Itazam Hayawam Haza Aid Habayakam. That was verses 8 through 14. We'll read those in the English, break them all down.
Verse 9. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it, and ye shall offer that day when ye have waved the sheaf of the sheaf and he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Lord. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto the Lord for a sweet savior. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the 4th part of an hin.
So this is talking about the Feast of First Fruits, right? This will be the next feast that we celebrate. There are 7 major high holy days that we celebrate throughout the year, according to the scriptures. So we have the Passover, and we have the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The next one that's coming up after this will be roughly 50 days from tomorrow. All right, 50 days from tomorrow. We'll read that in just a second. That's called the Feast of First Fruits. It's another feast where we come together, do the same thing, come together with our brothers and sisters. Let's keep reading. Read verse 14.
Verse 14. And ye shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the self same day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
And just before we continue on, right, that's another thing that we have to understand about these scriptures, and about these laws. These laws are perpetual. A lot of people feel like, well, you're reading out of the Old Testament. These are laws that are done away with and old. But the Most High said that these things are perpetual. These will be a statute forever throughout all your generations and all your dwellings, no matter where you at, and no matter how long from this day, you're going to have to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. All right. A lot of people try to say that we live in ancient times and we, trying to live in the past because we want to celebrate these days. But it's not because we're trying to live in the past. These things are forever. So it's not us living in the past. The Lord told us to do these things forever, even when the kingdom comes. When Christ returns and the kingdom is established on earth, that kingdom of heaven that everybody's looking for, you still going to have to serve these days. There's still going to be a Passover in the kingdom. There's still going to be a Day of Atonement. There's going to be all these days. These 7 high holy days are going to be kept because they're perpetual. All right. So that's also extremely important when it comes to that. Right. So we're going to go ahead and read on from verse 15 down to 21 in the Hebrew, and we'll read it in the English. All right. Verse 15. Wasapatham lakam mamakarath hashabath mayawam. Abayakam, Ath Imar, Hathanawapa, Shabbat Wath, Amayamath, Thahayana, verse 16, Imamakarath, Hashabath, Hashab Yaitha, Thasaparwa, Kamashim, Yawam, Wakaratham, Manaka, Khadasha, La Yahawah, verse 17, Mamawa Shabbathikam, Thabayawa, Lakam, Thanawapa, Shathayam, Shanya, Ashar, Nayam, Salah, Thahaya, Yana, Hamataza, Thahapayana, Bakawaryam, La Yahawah, Wakarabatham, Al, Halakwam, Shaba Aitha, Kamasham, Kabat, Slaki Kabasham, Thamayam, Banaya, Shana, Waparban, Bakwar, Ahad, Wa'alahayam, Shanyam, Yahayawa Allah, La Yahawah, Wamanakatham, Wanasak Yakam, Wanasak Yaham, Asha, Rayach, Nayachak, La Yahawah, verse 19, Wa Aisha, Yatham, Sha'ayar, Arzayam Achad, Lakatath, Washanya, Kabashim, Banaya, Shanan, Lazabak, Shalamyam, verse 20, Wakhanayab, Hakahan, Atham, Al Lakam, Bakawaryam, Fanawapa, Lapanya, Yahawah, Al Shanya, Kabashim, Kwadash, Yahaya, La Yahawah, Lakahan, verse 21, Wakoratham, Ba'itazam, Hayawam, Hazaha, Makora'a, Kwadash, Yahaya, Lakam, Kal Malakath, Abudala Ath, Aishawa, Kakwath, Awalam Bakal, Mama Shabbathikam, Ladarathikam. That was up to verse 21. All right, so we'll read verses 15 through 21 in English.
Verse 15. And he shall count unto you. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath. It's 17, right?
Verse 15.
Verse 15.
Come on, you was right. Yep.
And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheep of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be completed.
So from the day after the Sabbath, right, which is these high holy days are considered high Sabbaths. So even today, even though this is not the 7th day of the week, it's considered a Sabbath because it's a high holy day. So this is the instructions on how we're going to count until we get to the next feast day, which is the Feast of First Fruits. Some people call it the Pentecost, right? You go into a Christian church, a lot of times they'll call it the Pentecost. They'll do it like I think 50 days after Easter. The term Pentecost means 50. So 7 Sabbaths shall be complete after this Sabbath, which is 49 days, and it's going to tell you to add another day. Give me verse 16.
Verse 16. Even unto the morrow after the Sabbath shall ye number 50 days.
So there you go. So it's 50 days total. All right. Continue.
And ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord. Ye shall bring out of your habitation 2 wave loaves of 10 steels. They shall be of fine flour, ye shall be baken, like they shall be baken with leavening. They are the first fruits of unto the Lord. And ye shall offer with the bread 7 lambs without blemish of the first year, and 1 young bullock, and 2 rams. They shall be for a burnt offering unto the Lord, with their meat offering and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire of sweet Savior unto the Lord.
And so before we continue on, there's always within each one of these 7 high holy days, there's always a spirit behind the celebration of these days, right? Once again, if y'all was with us last week, the Passover has a spirit behind it, right? The reason why we celebrate the Passover is because when we was coming out of Egypt, the Most High had already done 10 plagues, had done the 10 plagues against Egypt because the Pharaoh did not want to let us out, didn't want to let us to go serve our God. And so the Passover represents the fact that when we serve the Most High God and we do what the hell he tells us to do, he'll protect us and slaughter our enemies. That's what the Passover is about. The Feast of Unleavened Bread is, of course, what we're celebrating today. There's a whole spirit behind that, which after we read this entire chapter, I'll go into a deep, well, not deep, but I'll go into a deeper breakdown of what the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the spirit behind it is about. But all of these high holy days have a spirit behind them. What we're reading about right now is the Feast of First Fruits. The Feast of First Fruits spirit behind that, of course, we'll go over that when we celebrate it, but the spirit behind that is giving your best to the Most High. The spirit behind the Feast of First Fruits is when we came into the land initially, remember the Lord, he defeated all of our enemies in front of us and gave us the land of our enemies, the land of the Moabites, the land of the Canaanites. He gave us their land by slaughtering them for us. Right. All right. When we get into that land and possess it, the Lord gave us this instruction for the Feast of First Fruits, that all of the first fruits of everything that we harvest off of that land, we got to give all of the first of that to the Most High, and we have to give the best of it. That's about giving the best of everything to the Most High. And of course, when we celebrate that high holy day, we'll go into a deep dive of that. But I just want y'all to understand that every single one of these high holy days has a spirit behind it. The Lord don't never do nothing in vain. All right. Since we, of course, we're talking about high holy days, I always got to throw a jab at these Christian holidays like Christmas. That's a vain holiday. Who the hell came up with the idea that you got to give a present to somebody by putting it under a tree instead of just handing that person that present? Y'all don't even realize when y'all doing that you actually serving Nimrod. That's where that whole tradition comes from. See, but to you, you're not thinking about that, because the traditions that you've been raised under in America, you don't get taught to question those things, because your first Christmas you celebrated before you was 1 year old. So every year you continually do this. You don't never ask the question, why can't I just give this person this gift? Why I got to put it under the tree and let it sit there for a couple of weeks until Christmas and they can come grab it from under that tree? You're not realizing that comes from an ancient pagan worship of Nimrod. Right. Amongst other things, amongst Saturnalia, amongst when we talk about all of the Easter bunny eggs that these kids went and tried to go on them Easter egg hunts today. Y'all don't even realize that comes from the worship of the fertility goddess Ishtar. But you're not realizing that. See, those are vain things. The Lord is not a vain God. There's a reason why he gives us these orders to celebrate these days. All right. Like I said, after we read this chapter, we'll go into the breakdown of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, get the spirit behind that. But I just want y'all to think about that while we read through all these feasts. All right, let's keep going.
Verse 19. Then ye shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and 2 lambs of the first year for a sacrifice of peace offering. Verse 20. And the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before the Lord, with the 2 lambs. They shall be holy unto the Lord for the priest. Verse 21. And ye shall proclaim on the selfsame day that it may be in holy convocation unto you. Ye shall do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations.
That's the end of 21, right?
God.
Okay, and so now y'all understand, and I just wanted to touch on this before we continue. Y'all understand that the Lord don't need these sacrifices. Like the Lord don't need to eat flesh. So when you sacrificing these animals to the Lord, when you sacrificing these plants to the Lord, you not like when you're doing those heave offerings. The Lord don't need that to survive. Like how you and I need food to survive. You and I need oxygen to survive. The Lord don't need that. The reason why he requires these things from us is because it's a sacrifice to prove that we have our service to God and not to ourselves. See, because a lot of times, once again, and we talked about a lot of this yesterday, when it comes to that idolatry, a lot of times you'll make yourself an idol. You'll make yourself to be, I'm going to put myself and my wants and my needs before the Lord. The Lord has these things set up to see whether or not you're going to serve yourself or serve him. Remember, when you look at the account in the book of Genesis, right, with Cain and Abel, Cain's offering was not accepted because he didn't give a damn about the offering. He didn't care about what he was going to sacrifice to the Lord. He just got any old thing and gave it to the Lord and said, here, the Lord better be happy with this. But Abel gave a sacrifice of the firstling. He gave the best of the best. And that's what the Lord is looking for. But the Lord don't need those things. He's not asking us to do these things because he needs our service. He don't need it. We need to serve the Lord. And that's what we got to understand when we hear doing these things. We have to understand that it's us that needs these things. Because without these things, without this order, and once again, we talked a lot about this yesterday, without this order, without this code of conduct, without these rules, we are lawless people. We'll do anything. And we'll be out just as lost as the rest of these people in the world, trying to find a purpose in life, trying to find a purpose in Christmas dinner. You know, every Christmas dinner, every Easter, y'all going to fight with your families. That's just going to happen. That's what happens in Black and Hispanic households. We always trying to find a purpose in those things, not realizing that the Lord is not there. That's why we can't ever find a purpose in those things. But when the Lord has given us these things to follow, a lot of us decide we're not going to do it. And that's why we end up without that purpose. When Ecclesiastes in the Bible, the 12th chapter and the 13th verse tells us, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. The entire purpose for our lives is to serve God and keep his commandments. That's it. That's our duty. That's the entire duty of man. So we have to remember that when we read these things, right? I'm going to go ahead and read verses 22 down through 28 in the Hebrew, and then we'll read those in the English. Verse 22, Wabak Kwataza Rakam, Ath, Kwatazayar, Atazakam, La'ath, Akala, Pa'ath, Shadak, Bakwataza Rakah, Walakwat, Kwatazarak, La'ath, Alakwat, La'ainaya, Alagar, Ta'izab, Atham, Anaya, Lahaw, Slagi Yahawa, Alahayakam, Slagi, verse 23. Why Debar Yahawa, Amashala, Amar, verse 24. Banya Alban, Slagi, Debar Albanya Yasha Allah, La Amar, Bakadash, Hashab Ya'aya, Bachad, Lakadash, Yahaya Lakam, Shabbath 1, Zakar 1, Tharaiwa, Makarag, Kodash, verse 25. Kal Malakath, Abadala Ath, Aishawa, Wakarabath, Thakam, Wakarabatham, Asha La Yahawah, verse 26. Excuse me. Why Debar Yahawah Amasha La Amar, verse 27. Agba Ashar, Lakadash, Hashab Ya'aya, Hazaha Yawam, Hakaparyam, Hawa'a, Makara'a, Kodash, Yahaya Lakam, Wa'ana Yatham, Ath, Napashath Yakam, Waqarabatham, La Yahawah, verse 28. Wakal Malaka, La'ath Aishua Ba'itazam, Hayawam, Hazaha, Kaya Yawam, Kaparyam, Hawa'a, La Kapar, Ayakam, Lapanya, Yahawa, Lahayakam. That's verses 22 through 28. Read those in English.
Verse 22. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of the field of thy field when thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest. Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and unto the stranger. I am the Lord your God,
And this is another law to just show like the Most High, he implemented brotherhood into his laws, statutes, and commandments. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, right? But um, when you have a field and you have crops growing on it, let's just say I always use an apple tree because it's the easiest thing to think of. Let's say you got apple trees on the outskirts of your field. The Most High made it a commandment that if you have apple trees on the outskirts of your field, that you're not supposed to take off of that you're not supposed to harvest that for yourself. You're supposed to leave it so that way if anybody is hungry walking past your field and they're poor or whatever the case, they can have food from your field. All right, that's a commandment in the Bible. That's of course one of the proofs that the Lord gives a damn about brotherhood. All right, let's continue on.
Verse 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, ye shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets.
All right, that's the 4th high holy day that we read about, right? The memorial of the blowing of trumpets. All right, that's going to come after the feast of first fruits. All right, continue on.
And holy convocation, ye shall do no servile work therein.
And by the way, just another thing that we see is a common reoccurrence with these high holy days. Ye shall do no servile work therein. These are days off of work. All right. Just like on your weekly Sabbath, you're supposed to not have to work on the Sabbath. Well, you also are not supposed to work on these high holy days. Now, of course, us being in this captivity, the white man is likely going to make you work on these days and not give you the days off. But if you can get them off, get them off. Of course, that's what the Lord desires. And when kingdom come, you're going to have them days off. All right. But continue on.
But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And the Lord shall speak unto Moses, saying, Also on the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall be a day of an atonement. It shall be in holy convocation unto you. Ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
And that's the 5th high holy day that we read about in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. This day is not a feast day. All right, the Day of Atonement is not a feast day. It's a day of fasting. So that's for 24 hours. If you are, of course, if your health allows it, you fast for 24 hours. It's a dry fast, no water, no food for 24 hours. That, of course, doesn't go for pregnant women, women that are nursing, brothers or sisters that got to take medication, things like that. But for every able-bodied man and woman, you would fast for 24 hours. That's the only high holy day that you don't eat on, you don't feast on, but you still come together and you suffer for the Most High. You make an atonement for your sins through your fasting. All right, continue on.
Verse 28. And ye shall do no work in the same day, for it is an atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God. Verse 29.
Oh, Salaki. Let's read. So now I got to read it in Hebrew. That's verses 29 through 35. We'll read that. Verse 29. Kayakal hanapash ashar la'ah va'ayna ba'itazam hayawam hazaha wanakarath ma'amya. Verse 30. We'll call hanapash ashar ta'aisha call malaka ba'itazam hayawam hazah wa'abata abatiyah ath hanapash hawa'a makupab Aima. Verse 31. Call malaka la'ath aisha kukwath awalam la darathikam bakal mashabathikam. Verse 32. Shabbat 1 hawa'a lakam wa'ain nayatham ath napash slahitayakam batha sha'aya lakadash ba'irab ma'irab id arab tashamba wa shabbathkam. Verse 33. Wa yadabar yahawa mashallah amar. Verse 34. Debar banya yasha Allah la amar bakamash ashara yawam lakadash hashab ya'aya hazaha kaga Hasakawath, Shaba'itha, Yamayam, La Yahweh. Verse 35. Bayawam, Hara'ashwan, Makwara'a, Kodash, Kal, Malakath, Ibadah, Al, Tha'ishua. All right, so we'll read those same verses in English, 29 through 35.
Verse 29. Whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in the same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that doth any work in the same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
And once again, it's still talking about the Day of Atonement, right? This is a serious one, of course, to the Most High. They're all serious, but this one, you see the Lord puts a real emphasis on not working on that day, right? Because the Lord wants you to spend that day, the Day of Atonement, atoning for your sins, all right? So it's extremely important to the Lord. You can keep going.
Verse 32. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even, from even to even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacle.
And so that's the Feast of Tabernacle. Now, this is the 6th high holy day that you find in the Bible, right? In Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. This is another high holy day that we celebrate. It's going to explain how to celebrate this high holy day, right? So this is the Feast of Tabernacles. Go ahead.
For 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day shall be an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. Verse 37. These are the feasts of the Lord. Ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation unto, it's like holy convocation, to offer an offering made by fire.
Let's stop right there. Let me read on down. All right. So that I'm gonna read the rest of this. So from 36 on down in the Hebrew. That way we can break this down as we finish off this chapter. So verse 36, Shabbaita, Yamayam Thakwar Yabam, Ashala Yahweh Bayawam, Hasham Yanya, Makwar A Kodash, Yahaya Lakam, Wakar Batham, Ashala Yahweh Tazarath, Hawa Kal Malakath, Abdullah Atha Aishawa, verse 37. Allah, Mawa Ibya, Mawa Ibadya, Yahweh Ashar Thakwar Atham, Makwar Ya Kodash La Hakwar Ya, Ashala Yahweh Allah Wamanatha, Zabak Wanasakyam, Dabar Yawam Bayawamwa, verse 38. Malabad Shabbathath, Yahweh Malabad, Mathanawathikam, Wamalabad called Nadarakikam, Wamalabad called Nadawathikam, Ashar, Tathanawa, La Yahweh, verse 39. Ag Bakamasha, Ashar Yawam Lakada, Shashab Yaaya, Baasapakam, Ath, Thabawa Ath, Ha'arataza, Thakagawa, Ath, Kaga, Yahweh, Shaba'aitha, Yamayam, Bayawam, Hara'ashwan, Shabbathwan, Wayabawam, Hasham Yanya, Shabbathwan, verse 40. Walakwakatham, Lakam, Bayawam, Hara'ashwan, Paraya, Aitazah Hadar Kapath, Thamar Yam, Ha'ainak, Aitazah, Ibath, Warayabya, Nakhal, Washamaktham, Lapanya Yahweh Aliyaka, Shaba'aitha, Yamayam, verse 41. Wakagatham, Athwa, Kaga, La Yahweh Shaba'aitha, Yamayam Bashana, Kakwath, Awalam, La Darathikam, Bakadash, Hashab Yaaya, Thakagawa, Athwa, verse 42. Basakath, Thashabad, Slaki, Thashabawa, Shaba'aitha, Yamayam, Kal, Ha'azarak, Bayashala, Yashabwa, Basakath, verse 43. Lama Iwan, Yadaiwa, Darathikam, Baya, Basakawath, Hamashabathwa, Hamashabath Ya, Ath, Banya, Yasha'ala, Bawa Tazaya, Amatha, Ma'arataza, Matazarium, Anaya, Yahweh Alahayakam, verse 44, Waya Debar Masha, Ath Ma'aija, Yahweh Albanya Yasha'ala. So that was the end of the chapter. We'll read, where you leave off at? 37, right?
Yeah, 37.
Okay, yeah, let's read 37 on down.
These are the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering, a meat offering, a sacrifice, a drink offerings. Everything upon this day, besides the Sabbath of the Lord, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings, which ye give unto the Lord. Also, in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. And ye shall take on the first day the 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 boughs of godly trees, branches, and palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees and willows of the brook, and ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days. And ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month.
Now that's talking about the Feast of Tabernacles, right? The Feast of Tabernacles is essentially an 8-day feast, right? Where you the scriptures tell you that you basically humble yourself and you put, instead of you come outside of your house, instead of being in your house, you dwell in a tabernacle or a tent. All right, that's the way that the Lord had put it together, of course, in times of old. But the spirit behind it, of course, is humbling yourself and understanding that the Lord is the one that gave you this land, the land of Israel. All right, that's an 8-day feast, which, of course, that's the 6th one that we've gone over. The 7th one that we'll go over is the Sabbath, right? The weekly Sabbath. You can keep going.
Verse 42. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israel born shall dwell in booths.
That's what a booth is, right? I think I said tabernacle earlier because it's the Feast of Tabernacles, but a booth is a tent. All right. Continue on.
That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths, when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. And Moses declared unto the children of Israel the feast of the Lord.
So now that's the feast of the Lord, right? When you read Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, that's all of the high holy days that you are to celebrate as an Israelite. Now, of course, there are other days that we celebrate that are in the Bible as well. Like when you go into the book of Esther, you have the Feast of Purim. That's a 2-day feast. We celebrate that as well. Another one that you find in the book of Maccabees is the Feast of Dedication, which is some people call it Hanukkah or HaChanukkah. That also is an 8-day feast. All right. Those are just like civil days of celebration. Celebrations of things that happened in the past, right? Which, of course, when we celebrate those days, we give kind of a history lesson on those things. So, but these are the days that we celebrate. All right. These are holy convocations, meaning these are separate than the days that the pagan people that inhabit this place called America celebrate. We celebrate completely different days. That's why the Lord calls them holy, because we're to be holy. So now let's go a little bit over the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Can you give for me 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter? Like I said, there's always a spirit behind every high holy day. The Lord doesn't do nothing in vain. So now the history behind the Feast of Unleavened Bread is the fact that directly after the Passover, when the Lord sent the death angel over Egypt to destroy all of the firstborn of the Egyptians, and when the Israelites put that blood upon the doorposts and the Lord passed over the homes of the Israelites and slayed our enemies, directly after that, we had to flee out of Egypt. We had to get out of Egypt fast because it's wartime. The Lord has gone to war with our enemies and we got to get the hell out of there. And we didn't have enough time to bake our bread. So when you go into the history of it in the book of Exodus, the Lord tells us, y'all ain't got time to put this bread in the oven and bake it. It's what y'all going to do. Y'all are going to make bread without any rising agents in it because you're not going to have enough time to sit and wait for it to bake. And so that's where you get, like, if y'all ever seen like a corn tortilla, right? Or even those matzah, those pieces of like matzah crackers that you find in like in Walmart or whatever, that's considered unleavened bread because when you cook it, it doesn't rise and it doesn't take as long to cook. The Lord made us make that type of bread because we didn't have enough time to cook bread with leavening in it. That's the simple history behind it. That's the reason why we had to eat that unleavened bread. But there's a reason that we celebrate it every year and a spirit behind that feast of unleavened bread. Paul goes into it a little bit, and we're going to talk about it, right? Let's get 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter. You can start at verse 1.
Verse 1. It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife.
So now, this is Paul. Paul is what, if y'all in the UPK, y'all understand what a camp leader is. Paul was a camp leader, all right? He was a leader over the school, and he had to check this group, this one of his schools at the church at Corinth. This is what this letter is about. This letter, he's checking these brothers because something nasty is going on in this school, all right? And what's happening is adultery. That's basically what it is adultery, right? One should have his father's wife, meaning this man, this brother's father has multiple wives. So he's not talking about his mother, he's talking about one of his father's other wives. His brother go and have sex with that woman. That's called adultery. It's fornication. It's unlawful, right? A man to get put to death for that, according to what the Bible says. So Paul is checking these brothers and saying, hey, y'all out of order, y'all out of line, y'all are in sin. All right. Verse 2.
Verse 2. And ye are puffed up.
And you are what?
Puffed up.
And you are puffed up. There's a reason why he's using this terminology. You are puffed up. What does it mean to be puffed up? What it means to be puffed up is this: you think you bigger than what you are. You think you can do whatever the hell you want. Like the perfect example is somebody like Donald Trump. All right. I know we're talking about a white man, but that's the perfect example of what somebody that's puffed up looks like. The white man think he can do whatever the hell he want to do and get away with it, and nobody gonna do nothing to him. That's a man that's puffed up. All right. Another term for that might be cocky. All right. But that's what the term puffed up is. And Paul is telling these brothers, hey, y'all puffed up. Y'all think that the Lord can't touch you. You sinning, you out of order. And you think that nobody's seeing these things and that nobody's going to do anything about it. Paul is saying, look, I see y'all. Right? Continue.
And have not rather mourned that he that has done this deed might be taken away from among you.
Right. And you haven't mourned, meaning you're not sad about this. You're not looking at this situation and the things that are going on in that school and saying there's something wrong with this. Because why? Because you puffed up, right? And what else is puffed up when we talk about the feast of unleavened bread, right? Remember, bread that has leavening in it rises. It gets puffed up. Just keep that in your mind as we continue on in this account, right? Because Paul is making this analogy on purpose, right? Go down to verse 6.
Verse 6. Your glorying is not good.
Your glorying is not good. See, y'all think y'all getting away with this. Y'all think that because you are who you are, you think that you could do whatever you want to do. But I'm here to tell you that your glorying is not good. Keep on.
Know ye not that a little leavening, it's like a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump.
See, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Remember, this is all an analogy. We're talking about these cats being puffed up in their sin, right? Well, Paul is telling them, don't you know that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump? Now, we gotta follow through this analogy, so just walk with me for a second. When you talk about baking, right, and you're baking this bread, the bread that we've been making for the past 7 days has been unleavened bread, right? So when we put it together, we flatten it, we put it on that stove and fry it up. It never rises. It looks damn near like a tortilla, right? But imagine if you was just to put a little bit of baking soda in there. If you just put a little bit of baking soda in there and you roll that dough up, now the whole piece of dough is leavened. It's now become leavened bread. What Paul is saying here is y'all might be thinking some of us are good, some of us are bad, but y'all got to understand that a little bit of leaven or a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. remember, there's a earthly proverb that goes on like this. It say uh one rotten apple. What's that? You know how a rotten apple, if you got it in a basket, right? And you got one rotten apple in a basket, the rest of those apples are going to end up rotting. Why? Because that one rotten apple is going to spread throughout that entire basket, right? So the same way that little bit of leaven is going to leaven the whole lump. Keep reading.
Verse 7. Purge out, therefore, the old leaven.
And so Paul is telling them, this is what y'all got to do. And if y'all don't want to get destroyed because of this little bit of sin that y'all think is nothing, this is what you got to do. You have to purge out, therefore, the old leaven. Go ahead.
So, that ye may be a new lump.
That ye may be a new lump, without any leaven, without being puffed up, without that sin. See, what Paul is doing here is he's equating that leavening to sin. And Paul is telling you, you got to get rid of that leavening. You got to get rid of that sin. You got to stop being puffed up. What the Feast of Unleavened Bread is about spiritually is about not being that old man, not being the man that was the sinner, not being the woman that was the sinner, purging out that old leaven and becoming new. We'll read that in just a second, right? Go ahead.
As ye are unleavened, for even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us.
See, Christ is our Passover. Remember, when you go into what we just read, the Passover was about the Passover lamb, right? You kill that lamb, you put his blood upon the doorpost. But now we see Paul telling us there's a spirit behind that. And the lamb that was killed for us is not the lamb that you find in the so-called Old Testament in the book of Exodus. The lamb that was killed for us is Christ, because he takes away our sins. Keep reading, verse 8.
Verse 8. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
See, what you should be using this time for now, of course, you should always be in the spirit of serving the Most High. But you should look at these high holy days, and especially this one, and look at it, especially the way that Paul is breaking it down, and realize that you have to purge out the old leaven. You got to stop being wicked. See, a lot of times we'll get comfortable. A lot of times we like, hey, man, I'm in the truth. You know, I'm in the truth, man. I serve the Lord. I keep the commandments. A lot of times you don't realize when you slip how easy it is to slip, and how hard it is to pick yourself back up and get it back together. But this is here to remind you that you must. And every year this is, a lot of us go through the same thing every year where our spirit gets renewed after Passover because we've been around each other. So like, for instance, we in our respective zones for the whole year, might do a little bit of traveling throughout the year. But then when we go to Passover, we around 1,000 brothers and sisters and our spirit gets renewed. Spirits might have been low throughout the year, but after Passover, our spirits is back up. But it's supposed to be like that throughout the year. It's supposed to be like that year round. And we have to remember that. Paul is giving us these instructions, right, through the Spirit of the Most High, because a lot of us forget what we're here for, right? Let's keep reading.
Verse 9. I wrote...
Salaki, read the second half of verse 8 again.
Verse 8. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
Right. That's how we got to serve the Most High. Remember, the scriptures tell us that if you're going to serve the Most High, you have to serve the Most High in truth. Let me get Matthew the 16th chapter. All right. Let me get Matthew the 16th chapter. We're going to break it down just a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and close out. Give me Matthew 16. You can start at verse 2.
Verse 2. He answered and said unto them, when it is...
I'm sorry, verse 6. Matthew 16 and 6.
Matthew chapter 16, verse 6. When Jesus said unto them, take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. See, we see the same concept, right? The same analogy being given by Christ, the same one that we saw Paul give, right? Beware of the leaven of the Sadducees and Pharisees. This is talking about their sin, right? Their wickedness, right? Keep going. Verse 7. And they respond among themselves, saying, it is because we have taken no bread. Mm-hmm. which when Jesus perceived, he said unto them, O ye little faith, why reason ye among yourselves, because ye have brought no bread? Do ye not yet understand? Neither remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets ye took up? Neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets ye took up? How
Right.
is
And
it?
so now this is Christ having to break down to the disciples. He say, beware of the Sadducees and the Pharisees of their leaven, right? And the disciples didn't quite understand it because this is a parable. This is an analogy. And so the disciples is thinking that he's talking about real, literal bread. Christ is breaking it down, and no, I'm not talking about literal bread. He's going to break it down on what he's actually saying, right? Go ahead.
Verse 10. How is it that ye do not understand that I speak it not to you concerning bread, that ye should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees? Then understood they how that he bade them not beware of the leaven of bread.
So he's saying now it's saying that they understood that he didn't bade them to be aware of the leaven of bread, but go ahead.
But of the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees.
But of the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. That's what you got to be aware of. So when we talking about this feast of unleavened bread, yes, there's a physical, literal history of why we celebrate the feast of unleavened bread. It's tied directly to the Passover, because directly after that Passover, we had to make bread with no leavening in it, right? That's on the surface. But what Christ came to do was he came to give us the spirit behind the law. So there's the letter of the law. You pick up this Bible, you read it, and it just says what it says, and it's concrete. But when Christ came, like especially when you go throughout Matthew the 5th chapter, you see that he starts breaking these laws down and getting you to realize that the Lord didn't give us these laws just for us to look at them and say, okay, I'm just going to do it. There's a spirit and something that you need to learn from these things. And so what Christ is letting us know is that the leavening that this is talking about is about sin and about doctrine. And we have to understand that, right? Give me 1 John real quick. 1 John the 3rd chapter. All right, let me get 1 John the 3rd chapter. This will be the last little precept before we get up out of here. Matter of fact, let's hold that. Give me 2 Corinthians. Give me the letter of 2 Corinthians, the 5th chapter. Salakia.
2 Corinthians.
Yes. 2 Corinthians 5. Forgive me, Salakia.
5
and 17.
1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. All things are passed away. Behold, all new things are become new.
And now this is what you're supposed to do. When you come into the truth, this is what you should be, is a new person. All things have become new about you. Because remember what we just read that Paul said earlier in 1 Corinthians. He said, purge out the old leaven and become a new lump as unleavened. This is Paul giving us another analogy, telling us that you got to get rid of that old doctrine. See, doctrine is just teaching. That's what doctrine is. And a lot of us, when we come out of the world, we come with doctrine, with teaching, with a lot of the philosophies that America has taught us, because this is the place that we've been raised up in. And so because we've been raised up in America, America is an amalgamation of all types of Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Egyptology, right? And all manner of pagan things that they've taught us since birth. Even you celebrating a birthday comes from that from that pagan Roman mythology. Point being is, this is Paul telling you that you got to purge those doctrines out of your mind. A lot of times when you come into the truth, you don't fully purge those things out of your mind. And I'm not just talking about Christmas and Easter. I'm not just talking about celebrating a birthday. I'm not just talking about not eating pork. I'm talking about the way that you behave yourself, your conduct. When we grow up in America, we taught to be animalistic. That's why we fight so goddamn much. That's why we're so angry. That's why we can't treat each other correctly. That's why we're not kind to one another. All of those things are us being a product of America, raising us to be what they are, which they're animals. The Bible calls them the beasts of the field.
Right.
But we're supposed to be the Most High's chosen people. You understand? And so because that's the case, when you come into the truth, you have to put away that old understanding of what it means to be a person. America can't teach you how to be a goddamn human. They're beasts. So you have to come into this understanding that you got to forget everything you've ever known. Y'all ever seen them movies and they take them on this journey and they say, all right, before we do this, you got to forget everything that you ever thought you've known. Well, that's what it's like being in the truth. Coming into the truth, you have to forget everything that you've ever been taught and you have to start fresh, right? And that's what Paul is explaining to us, right? You have to become a whole new man, a whole new woman. That's why when you come in here and you do your 90 days and you get your Hebrew name, we give you that Hebrew name and we tell you, you will now be known as such and such, and you will no longer be known as such and such, whatever you was in the world, because that's what Christ has called you to be. He called you to stop being that, whatever you was in the world, and to become that new creature. Let's keep reading from where we was at.
Verse 18. And all things are of God, who hath reconciled us to himself by Jesus Christ, and hath given to us the ministry of the reconciliation.
Reconciliation, right? So the Most High gave us the ministry of reconciliation. What does it mean to reconcile? Well, remember, the Lord, we left the Lord's covenant. We broke the Lord's covenant. That's in Jeremiah, the 31st chapter. The Most High said he'll give us whatever we want. All we got to do is follow his rules. That's it. And we broke them. And so the Lord kicked us the hell out of his house and said, okay, you want to be with them niggas up on the street selling that dope? Go ahead. Be with them niggas up on the street selling that dope. You're going to end up in prison and you're going to be calling me. But guess what? When you call me from that prison phone, I'm going to answer. And I'm going to let you back in my house. But you're going to have to follow my rules. And that's the way the Most High operate. This is that reconciliation. We calling the Most High from prison right now. We saying, Lord, deliver us out of this hellhole called America. Right. Most High is picking up that phone and he's saying, look, I ain't never put my arms down. My arms have been wide open this entire time. Come back home, but just remember, I got rules that you need to follow. And so now you're going to come home and follow these rules. And in turn, I'll give you the protection that you've been looking for. Let's keep reading.
Verse 19. To wit, that God was in Christ, reconciling the world unto himself, not imputing their trespass unto them, and hath committed unto us the world of reconciliation.
And so now what this is doing is now making a direct comparison between the Passover, which is Christ, and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is about us. Because Christ died for us, so that way we could have a chance to become that new person. Remember, there are sins in this Bible that we've committed that are unto death. Committing adultery is a death sentence. That's if you get caught in adultery, you'd be put to death according to the Bible. Many of us have done that. Many of us have committed the act of adultery. You understand? A lot of the things that we've done growing up in America are sins unto death. According to the Bible, we would have to be put to death, but because Christ came and was a propitiation of those sins for us, now we don't have to die. We just got to come back to the Most High and start following his rules. It's that simple. And so that's the point. That's the point of Christ being that Passover and us purging out that old leaven, becoming a new lump. So now we can partake of that Passover. So now we can actually use the sacrifice that Christ made for us. Because without us becoming a new person, without us stopping all of the sin and the wickedness that we was in, we can't partake of that Passover that Christ and that sacrifice that Christ gave for us. We can't. Let's keep reading. We're almost done, y'all.
Verse 21. For he that hath made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin.
Right. Christ knew no sin, but he was made sin for us. Why? Because he got put to death for the sins that we committed when Christ didn't do a goddamn thing. Keep reading.
That we might be made the righteousness of God himself. It's like of God in him.
That we might be made righteousness of God in him. See, a blameless man, a man that never did anything to nobody, got put to death for people like you and me. Now, I can only speak for myself, but I know I was a piece of garbage before I came into the truth. And Christ died for somebody like me to have a second chance. Now, when you think about that, when you think about how terrible of a person that you've been your entire life, all of the terrible things that you've done, things that you hardly can't forgive yourself for, Christ died so that way the Lord could forgive you for those things. That's a chance that you can't miss. That's a chance that you shouldn't throw away. See, in the book of Hebrews, the 10th chapter, it tells you, once you come into the knowledge of the truth, there remains no more sacrifice for sins, because Christ only died once. He died for the sins that were past, the things that you've done before you learned about this truth. Christ died for those things. Don't throw it away. See, in order for you to be able to partake of that Passover, that sacrifice, you got to be blameless. Remember, when we celebrate the Passover, the only reason why that death angel passed over us in those houses where we put up that blood was because we followed the orders of the Lord. The Lord ordered us, if you want to be saved from this death angel, you're going to have to follow this order and put this blood upon that doorpost. And the only way that we was able to be delivered from that death is if we followed that order. Well, that's the same way that the Lord works across the board. The Lord gave us these statutes, these laws, and these commandments. And he said, look, if you want to be preserved from death, if you want to be delivered out of the hell that you've been in your entire life, all you got to do is follow these laws, statutes, and commandments. And my death angel will pass over you and destroy your enemies. So that's the point, man. So when we celebrate these feasts, remember, there's always a deep spirit behind it. The Lord don't never do nothing in vain. So just remember that, right? So once again, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Those of y'all online, those of y'all in class, we're going to go ahead and close out with the prayers. All right. With that being said, Imagine, which means to stand. Kwanya Agudan, which means to turn and face the east. We're going to close out with those prayers. Beginning with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanaw, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malak with Ka, Taba'ah, Ratzazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'ratazah, Kawak, Hayah, Bashamayim, Nathanaw, Lacham, Kal Yawam, Wasalakanaw, Kawatnaw, Kasalaknaw, Kawatinaw, Wala'ah, Tabayanaw, Banasar 1, Abal, Hawashai Mayan, Raikaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wa'ala, Wa'atha Para, La'ilamium, Aman. In English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. So be it. We're going to read the prayers for the power, or the kak, in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Baba Kushai, Natan Lanawa Hakak, Hakak Larapa'ah, Kal Maka'ala, Wakal Madawa, Hakak Latahar, Hamatazariah, Hakak Lakwayam, Hamathium, Hakak, Al Rakawa, Katama'ala, Lagar Shan, Ba'ashem Yahushai, the Wadaman. Prayers for the power in English. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please give us the power. The power to heal all manner of sickness, and all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the lepers. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. The prayers to bless Israel in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Barak Lanawa, Wayashrala, Wahabayat Saparya, Barak, Bahasham Yahushai, Thawada Aman. What we just said in English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless us and Israel and the school, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you, so be it. Psalms, the 121st chapter in Hebrew. Asha'ah, Ayanya, Ahaharya, Mayan, Yaba'ah, Isaiah, Isaiah, Ma'im, Yahweh, Aisha, Shamayam, Wa'ratazah, Al Yathan, Lamawat, Regalka, Al Yanawam, Shamarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashan, Shalmar, Yashala, Yahweh, Shamarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al Yad, Yamyanka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Wayaraf, Walayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Makal Rai, Yashamar, Afnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza'athka, Wabawa'aka, Ma'aitha, I will love. Psalms 121 in English. I will lift up mine eyes into the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yashala shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. We're going to read Psalms, the 83rd chapter, beginning with the Hebrew. Allahayim, Al Damayah Lakab, Al Thakaraj, Wa Al Thashakwat, Al Kayahana, Awa Yabyaka, Yahmayawan, Ra'ash, Al Imaka, Yarayamwa, Sawada, Wayatha, Yaitazawa, Al Tazapawanyaka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakakyadam, Magalia, Wala'a, Yazakar, Sham Yasha Allah, Iwada, Kaya, Nawaitazawa, Laba, Yakadwa, Al Yaka, Baryath, Yakarathwa, Ahawya, Adawam, Wayashamayaliya, Mawa Abba, Wagarya, Gabal, Waima Slaki, Waima 1, Waima Lak, Palashat, I'm Yeshabya, Tazawar, Gum Ashawar, Nalawa, Imam, Hayawa, Zarwai, Labanya Lawat, Salah, Aisha Laham, Kamadyan, Kasaya, Sara'at, Kayabyan, Banakal, Kwayashwan, Nashamadwa, Ba'ayan, Da'ra, Hayawa, Daman, La'adama, Shayathamwa, Nada, Yabmawa, Ka'ira, Wakaza'aba, Wakazabak, Wakazazal, Mana'ai, Kal, Nasaya Kamwa, Ashar, Amarwa, Naya Rashad, Lanawa, Ath, Na'awat, Allahayim, Allahaya, Shayathamwa, Kagalgala, Kakwash, Lapanya Rakab, Ka'ash, Taba'ira, Ya'ira, Wakala Haba, Talahat, Haryam, Khan, Tharadapma, Basa Iraka, Wabasa, Wapathka, Tabahalam, Mala'a, Panyaham, Kwalawan, Wayabakwashwa, Shamka, Yahweh, Yabashwa, Wayabahawa, Adyai, Wayachaparwa, Wayabadwa, Wayadaiwa, Kaya Atha, Shamka, Yahweh, Labadka, Ayawan, Akar, Psalms the 83rd chapter in English. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yashala may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Salah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites. As to Sisera. As to Jabin. At the brook of Kasan, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like a red, and like Zair. Yea, all their princes as Zabah, and as Amuna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. Oh my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that men may seek that they may seek thy name. O Yahweh, let them be confounded in trouble forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, of the Most High of all the earth. These are the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Shai, Wa Mayaka Allah, Wa Allahayim, Matazab Ya'ah, Alawap Yahana, Ha'alawapyam, Hasaranyam, Hakwatazayanyam, Hakayayayam, Wa Hagwathin, Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Wadaman, in English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angels. Commanding General Yohanan, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. Sorry. Sisters can be seated. Brothers, we're just going to salute each other out to close out the feast. Sisters can have a seat. Brothers, will salute each other out. Men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh, Shabbat. That's Yahweh, which is the Most High's name. In the name of Yahweh Shai, which is Christ, bless you. That's the salute. For the sisters, we're going to salute the sisters as well. Men of Israel, Amadim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak, Yahweh Shamar, Alathah, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And that means the Most High watch over you in the name of Christ. All right? Yajim Matah, dismissed.